in the perfect world, like Terry's perfect world, right, of RWE, right, PMDE just becomes this a huge blockbuster hit, right? Like, what happens, right? What is the end result? Because as you have already stated, Canadians, we're not necessarily, as you even suggested, we're not on the high in the pecking order of maybe manufacturers coming to Canada first, right? They go to, like, say, Germany, as you referenced, and then on top of it, our healthcare system spend is just ever increasing. In 2000, I think it was something like 8%. Now it's 13%. And it's projected to only grow because of the growing older population, of course, immigration as well, a very, very large population coming in. So if PMDE becomes a blockbuster hit, what is Terry's world? That could you paint us a picture of how PMDE kind of supports kind of a brighter future, let's say?
Sure. I mean, obviously, to start, I would have to build some form of PMD castle, and I would have a throne of some kind, right? So nothing too big, but big enough. Um, no, I think that it's a great question because I think everybody has their own dream or goal of what it could be, and I don't want to make this an individual goal. This isn't really about me. I think this is about sort of my team, the network that we've built, and the endeavor to make really good decisions. And the future, I think, as you've mentioned already, Lester, with those stats, our system is maxed out, and I can tell you on an almost daily basis, we engage with those decision makers. So those that are trying to scratch their head saying, here's my budget, here are the amount of people that live in my province, and I need to somehow take care of all these people. And every day, new medicines are being churned out, right? Should we be covering them all? Do they actually work? Are they providing benefit? How is this brand new shiny drug compared to the generic that costs me pennies a day? Is it that much better that I should be spending an additional few $1 million a year? Like those are the types of questions that they're inundated with every day. So in my dream scenario, I think the couple things that we need to hone in on is efficiencies. So I think people many times view real world evidence as us lowering the evidentiary bar, saying, oh, it's a shortcut and it's a way for us to save money. Clearly, there's savings, and yes, it is faster, but it doesn't necessarily mean it does not provide value or can't help us make great decisions. And
Yeah.
so I think looking forward, in my dream scenario, real world evidence isn't looked at as an odd cousin that eats paste. It's instead something that's at the table that provides equal value considering the task at hand. The other thing that I think that needs to happen is we need to have um, shared responsibility. And what I mean by that is it isn't just CADTH's responsibility or our PMD or CoLab Network or even Health Canada's responsibility. This is an ecosystem task. Okay, so that means industry, that means payers, that means everybody in the system has to work together, which is really hard. It gets painfully hard to say, let's all agree to work on something to produce evidence that we can all use, we can all co-own, and it is done in a mutually beneficial way. Can we do that? And a lot of people are like, well, I don't know. It's really tough. And I'm pushing towards trying to do more of that. I'm not the only one. Clearly, there's a lot of people that are about that. And if we can make that happen, all of a sudden, a lot of the things that were huge issues for us will just dissolve. They will go away. It doesn't mean all of our problems are solved, but some really big slowing us down problems will have been taken care of. The piece that I mentioned to you is the efficiencies. I think if we can do a better job of, and there's a new buzz term. I'm giving you a sneak peek to something that you're going to have to do a new podcast in a few years, and that is a term of formulary management. So what does that mean? That means managing your house. Okay, so each province has to manage its own formulary. As a country, we have to manage our formularies. And currently, we have a really hard time saying no to certain things and or taking away things that are on a formulary. Okay, and that is for a lot of reasons, and we won't go there today. But they shouldn't always be on our formulary. For example, there's barbiturates or benzos that are overprescribed in many ways. And should they still be prescribed? Should they still be on our formulary? Should they still be available? And a lot of times the answer is God no. Like, why are we still covering that? And it's because a lot of the jurisdictions don't have the bandwidth or capacity or time to go back and do this report card and the screening and fixing or management of their formulary. And this is where post-market drug evaluation and things like formulary management come into play, where we can just remove the dead bits and remove the parts that are not providing value And those savings alone magically would make a huge difference. And I'm not talking like a couple $100,000. I'm talking millions of dollars of savings and improvement in efficiencies that will allow us to then reinvest in our own healthcare and our own system, provide the latest and greatest. And that is, in my dream world, where I think we really invest in is doing a better job of that rearview mirror, improving our efficiencies, and all of that will then just let the rest sort of come and play. And that early piece is really, really integral, which is that collaborative approach to post-market evaluation, like doing it together. If industry can say, yes, we're happy to fund a project that we're doing with the regulator and the HTA bodies to produce something that we can all use, it seems a little bit counterintuitive for them to go off in a corner and produce some data and then kind of give it to you with shaking hands saying, is this going to work? If we had that conversation earlier on, there would be no misunderstandings. There would be much more efficient transfer of data or generation of data. So that's my dream world, including my castle and throne.
Great, great. No, appreciate it very much there, Terry.